Hello there. This is Natural Fitness Lifestyle. Today we're going to be talking about HIIT training. And I'm going to even show you an example of how to apply HIIT training to your biceps. So we're waiting for our first participant here so they can just reach to the chat box and ask a question. And when you do, when you reach in the chat box and ask a question, guess what? You automatically make gains on your biceps because you're exercising. So here we're talking about HIIT training. HIIT training, high intensity training. But how do you define intensity? How do you find intensity? What is intense? Just using a heavy weight, as heavy as you can? Take the example of the biceps. We want to train a biceps. Now, the biceps has specific type of muscle fibers that run straight up and down, making them have less potential for strength. And if you try to train them with maximum weight, you are risking muscle pull. So it's the approach of the heaviest weight possible, the correct way to apply HIIT training to your biceps? I wouldn't think so unless you want to risk a biceps pull. But come to the rescue. Back to our question, how do you define intensity? Is it loading the muscle with the heaviest weight possible? Does that make it the highest intensity? Well, ask yourself. Once you lifted the weight, and in the process lifting of that heaviest weight, is that the highest intensity to that muscle? Well, one way you can measure it is the duration of the intensity. How long does that effort last, or the duration of the effort? If it's lasting a short while, is that the highest intensity? No, because your muscles need a specific amount of stimulus. Now, if you're working out a muscle group, if you're training a muscle group, there's a lot of debate on the duration of the exercise. How long should you train that muscle? Well, let's go to studies. Let's go to the studies. Studies have shown that you need at least a 30-second duration of effort in the muscles because you are not just targeting the strength fibers, you're targeting these satellite cells, which require an endurance stimulus as well. You also need a repetitive stress on the muscle because it requires an adaptation. Muscle fibers have an ability to recover, to recuperate. So just doing one set, as many here on YouTube would have you believe, is not the best approach for high intensity training. And going back to a question, what defines intensity? Is one set intensity? Well, I would say no, because once again, you need a minimum of 30 seconds of effort. But being that the muscle usually takes between 2 and 3 minutes to recover, now the muscle's recovered. So is 30 seconds enough intensity for the muscle to adapt to that intensity? Well, scientifically, if your muscle fibers are not exhausted, are not utilized completely, you have not trained them completely. Now, muscle fibers consist of, the muscle fibers themselves contract with two proteins called actin and myosin. So, exhausting your actin and myosin is the way to measure if you are performing intensity or not. And a way to measure actin and myosin is to test how much effort will exhaust your muscles to the point where it can no longer contract. So intensity is not just one set, because if you rest 2 or 3 minutes and your muscles require 2 or 3 minutes for recovery, then you can continue to contract your muscles. That would indicate that you have not tapped into all your actin and myosin. You have not utilized all your actin and myosin proteins in your muscles, and therefore they cannot have the full potential for growth. So high intensity is when you no longer can't contract your muscle. Now, I don't see anybody on the chat box, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to show you an example. Now, I have a dumbbell here, correct? 20 pounds. It's not the heaviest dumbbell, but I can still exhaust all my actin myosin. One way I'm going to do that is by the tempo. Now, you can slowly lower the weight. It's typical 4 seconds. And you could pause here. Okay, this is static contraction. It's an isometric contraction. You can pause here for up to 8 seconds. Not curl all the way up to the shoulder. If you curl up here, that's not high intensity. You want to curl short of the shoulder. Hold it another 8 seconds. Now, inhale, slowly lower for 8 seconds. Now, pause again. Pause again. This is another way that you can exhaust all the contractile proteins in your muscles. Now, if you're listening to somebody out here on YouTube saying, oh, load up your muscles for a biceps curl, for one set, that's all you need, they are lying to you. Lying. Here, wait a minute. Do I have a, you know what the French do? They take a glove, up, they smack you. Do not lie to the public, please. It is not scientific. Your muscles need to be totally exhausted to the point where they cannot move any longer. That is intensity. That is high intensity. Because if you do one set and you rest 2 to 3 minutes, you're going to be able to do another set, which means your muscles are not exhausted, which means you're not performing high intensity. Lies. Again, I'm going to show you. Now, another way you could do your curl, you can approach the bicep workout. Do your, now high intensity originally was applied, utilized 12 to 20 repetitions. So you can do 12 to 20 repetitions on your biceps curl. Now notice the tempo. Count with me, please. 4 seconds on the eccentric. 1, 2, 3, 4. Raise, pause. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is very intense. I'll do my right arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you don't have to stop there. Now you can perform an isometric hold. Palm, forearm at a 90-degree angle. Press down with the opposite arm and resist. Hold this for 30 seconds. You can hold it up to 30 seconds or a minimum of 8 seconds. and go to the opposite arm. Hold that at least 8 seconds. That's just one set. Is it high? Is this worse? Is it less effective than utilizing the maximum weight? No, it's actually more effective, because studies show that you need an isometric contraction and not just an isotonic contraction. You need isometric contraction in order to exhaust all the muscle fibers. So please reach down to the chat box, because I'm going to have to leave this live if there's no questions. If there aren't any questions, I can't give any answers, right? You need questions for answers. But I could show you. Yeah, I could show you. So let's perform the next set till we get another viewer. What? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Notice here. Notice the biceps. So far I don't have anybody asking questions. I cannot do a live without giving answers or taking questions. But I will tell you this much, that intensity is defined as the ability to put out all your effort. If somebody's coming on YouTube and lies to you by saying one set is all you need to train, they're lying to you, because you're not going to exhaust all your muscle fibers with one set. And just because you could lift the heaviest weight in the world, it still won't exhaust all your muscle fibers. What it can do is tear a muscle. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. High intensity, hit training, or hit or miss training.